Hi everyone, Arnold here, santamuertemagic.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. The topic of today's video is light and Santa Muerte. One thing I've said in the past is that electric candles and colored light bulbs are suitable substitutions for those who cannot or do not want to burn wax candles. There are devotees who say that the only appropriate kind of candle for Santa Muerte devotion is a wax candle, but I disagree, and I disagree for these reasons. First, as always, if Santa Muerte accepts us all, then she must accept those of us who work with wax candle substitutions, either out of necessity or preference. But beyond that, when my mother was teaching me about Santa Muerte and how to build an altar to Santa Muerte, she said something to the effect of, always make sure you have water on your altar because death is bone dry, so Santa Muerte is always parched. Also, make sure you always have a candle on your altar because death is dark, so Santa Muerte welcomes a bit of light. Now, it is true that when she was explaining the tradition to me, she said the word candle. Always make sure you have a candle on your altar. And many would argue that a wax candle was being implied. Even if that was the case, and even if my mother happens to be one of those devotees who says only a wax candle will do, the reasoning for the offering of a candle does not necessitate a wax candle. If we are offering the candle as an offering of light, then I argue any medium which provides light can be a suitable offering. I think this is an important distinction to make about Santa Muerte devotion and the placement of candles upon a Santa Muerte altar. Unlike the Wiccans and certain other pagans who place representations of the elements on their altars, and who may use candles as a representation of the element of fire, a candle upon a Santa Muerte altar is not generally a representation of an element, but an offering of light. There is even academic support for this. Researchers who have studied Santa Muerte devotees in Mexico have commented on the use of light in public rituals. For example, Laura Rausch of El Colegio de Michoacán, in her article Santa Muerte, Protection and Desamparo, a view from a Mexico City altar, published in the Latin American Research Review, volume 49 in 2014, writes this description of what she observed. Quote, very bright lights were aimed just above the heads of people gathered in the street. Then, during the blessing of the images, nearly everyone raises high above their head a statuette brought from home, up into the light. Suddenly, the images are illuminated and colorful, and the crowd appears to be not a mass of living persons, but a crowd of grinning skeletons. End quote. So this further suggests the strong relationship that light, not fire, plays within the tradition of modern Santa Muerte devotion. The devotees that were observed in the street lifting their statuettes and images into the light were lifting those items into the light of artificial light bulbs, not into the light of, or not into any light cast by a flame. Obviously, I do not begrudge anyone who chooses to only exercise their devotion with wax and wick candles. The ultimate point of this video was to show that there is justification, both in what I have been taught and what has been observed by third parties, for substituting the light from a candle with the light from a bulb or other artificial source. And I say all that to say that you should not hesitate to use electric candles or other colored lights in your Santa Muerte devotion. You can use them when you cannot burn traditional wax candles or when you just don't want to. Because of the emphasis on light and the lack of emphasis on fire, you should consider electric light to be just as powerful and acceptable as the light from a wax candle. With that, I think I'll start wrapping up the video. Hopefully I've explained everything clearly, but as always, please let me know if you have any questions by getting in touch with the contact form at my website, santamuertemagic.com. Thanks again for listening, everyone. Until next time. Bye.